Welcome, everybody, to the Two Idiots, Two Microphones, One podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Pedrick, and always with me, my hetero family mates, Brady Van. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Same old. What's been going on?
Nothing much. Just excited to get back on the air and do a actual podcast. I haven't done one probably in 6 months, so since my recent passing of my best friend, we kind of went on a hiatus of not doing any podcasts or anything. So I actually like to dedicate this podcast to my best friend, Sam Slater, who did our other podcast, Mouse of Madness. I'm sure if you guys know me personally, you may have listened to it. And just want to dedicate this to him. I think he would want to... be here if he could, and he actually wanted to be part of this podcast. It was actually his idea to start this new one with me and Tim, so just happy to do this, man, get back to doing this. I really enjoy doing this stuff, and yeah.
Go Sam.
Yeah. So
we do this anyway pretty much all day, talking with our phone conversations. Why not make it a podcast?
Pretty much. We have our own podcast talking on the phone, which is something I do miss dearly with him. But now I get to bug you more, so which makes it more fun.
And I got lots of knowledge left in this noggin.
Yeah. So
yeah. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So I think today we're going to discuss just some movie reboots that we felt that were, good in certain ways and terrible in other ways. There's so many movies we could go down this list with. Probably a lot of it's just going to be off the cuff, and we're just going to discuss movies that we actually like, and then probably movies that we probably don't like. We're going to throw some, ad-lib ones in here too. So the first one I want to talk about, because it's recent and it's in 2020, is the Bill and Ted Face the Music 3. And I know Tim and me both grew up watching Bill and Ted, the original.
Of course.
So it's one of those movies, it's like when you hear about it, they've been talking about a Bill and Ted remake for, let's say...
decades.
Yeah, decades, right?
Literally 20 years.
And it sucks that it had to take place during a pandemic, because I don't think it's going to get the outreach or the...
traction.
Traction. That's a good way to say point it. That it should, and... If anybody who doesn't know about Bill and Ted, I'll give a little rundown of the premise of it. It's these two guys that are...
metalheads.
Yeah, they're metalheads pretty much. And they get... If I can't remember, because I haven't watched the original movie in forever, but don't they get visited by
George Carlin.
George Carlin.
Yeah, from the future. They're like metal gods in 2688 or something like that. Way in the future. They're metal gods. They wrote a song that saved the world.
Yeah, so that's right. So didn't they get visited by George Carlin because he's like, hey, you guys got to write a song or something, and you got to go back in the future to... Well, hold on. Let me stop that. It was something about the history paper, right?
Yeah.
They had a history paper.
Yeah.
They had to go back and they had to pass their history paper.
Yeah, if they didn't pass their history final, which
okay.
is they had to do some kind of presentation, that they would flunk out of school, and that one would go to military school, so they would never be a band ever because one went. I think it was Bill. No, Ted was going to military school.
That's right. Okay, so. Yeah, so it's like, that happened, and then they got the time machine, which is obviously the telephone booth or whatever, right? And then...
Nobody knows what a phone booth is anymore.
Right. Telephone booth, phone booth,
right.
Whatever.
I got you. It's like a TARDIS.
Yeah. And the funny thing about it was, it's like back then it was kind of supposed to be like, hey, they're these funny stoner-looking guys or whatever. You wouldn't think they're really intelligent, but reality is, like, if you listen to a lot of their jokes they would throw at you, they're actually pretty funny jokes.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't just like funny, like throwaway stoner jokes or whatever.
Right.
But at the same time, probably it appealed more to teenagers,
Right.
Which was funny because when I was a kid, I don't think my parents or your parents are going to be watching this at all. But still, to this day, it's got a lot of nostalgia with me because it was one of those movies you watch as a kid. So when I heard about Bill and Ted 3: Face the Music coming out, it's like, whoa, are they doing this for like nostalgia reasons or just for like fan service? Right?
That's a good question. Yeah, because like you're saying with the nostalgia. It's just if you watch the original two, not just the first one, the first one especially though, you see like they're inside a shopping mall. I remember when malls had keyboards, and then you see Beethoven playing at the keyboard shop there at the mall, and it's just random things on there. Even a food court. Come on, man. When was the last time you've been to a mall that had that kind of stuff? You
A
know?
piano, someone playing in the mall.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that kind of stuff.
The last time I actually saw that would probably be like a Christmas time when I was probably in middle school, right?
Yeah.
Hearing music playing live.
20 plus years ago.
Yeah, 20 plus years
crazy.
ago. And I remember even working in the mall in high school. I don't think they had music. So it's like it had to be middle school. So, yeah, throwback.
I know, right? That's I think it for me. I think it's for they were doing it for the nostalgia thing. Plus, Keanu Reeves been talking about it for years. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. They keep getting rewrites. Then they have to get different studios to do it. There's not a lot of studios nowadays that just want to throw something out there just to throw it out there.
Yeah, and and I think it was there it was meant to please fans, right? Because even in the second movie, which I don't even like talking about because I really don't like the second movie as much as I did the first one at all. But I mean, like after any movie, the second one's usually not as good. But I didn't really like the second movie as much, and I'm not really going to go into detail about it, but I just think it was a bad movie.
Yeah, I like the soundtrack better than I actually like the movie.
Yeah, that too.
That's when it's a horrible movie. Like Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
the soundtrack made more money than the actual movie did.
Yeah, so the third movie, of course, came out in 2020.
Yeah,
just came out actually a couple months ago. Same, I was really excited because it's like I wanted it to be the same cast and same writers.
Right.
Obviously, there was different writers for this one, which is okay. But you could definitely tell when watching the movie, it played into a little bit of part of it. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, of course, playing Bill and Ted. And it's just one of those things. When I was watching it, I was like, "Hey, this is going to be, another funny, kind of like goofy movie," because it's not supposed to be like serious, serious
obviously,
time travel movie.
If you take it seriously, then there's something wrong with you.
And then I guess it's like, what the premise of the third one is they're middle-aged dads with two daughters, still trying to fill their, their, we'll say, use their words, their bodacious days, right? Destinies of, the crank songs and all the stuff they used to do, for metal and stuff, and they're supposed to save the universe. So,
right.
Same premise, kind of like his original one, but it's like they're,
updated.
They're old, updated, they're older and stuff, and it's funny because it's kind of like a throwback to it. The only thing I really didn't like at the beginning was when I found out they were going after the daughter thing or whatever. They had their daughters involved, which it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I don't think we needed that in there. It was kind of again to me, it was like a throwaway. It was like the part where the wives and then we're at couple therapy,
right? Yeah,
and it just didn't make any sense to me. And they had a couple lines in there, and it was just boom, they're done.
That's it. Yeah.
It was a throwaway to me. It shouldn't have been there. It was fluff, But okay, so it maybe gave part to where their daughters came from, and that's why they threw it in there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, they did. What kind of this goes along with one thing I didn't like is they rehashed a lot of the old jokes, but now they're just again. You look at it they had the same dad came back. Ted's dad came back again.
Yeah,
and his mom, their mom, I guess you could call her. First it was Ted's mom, then it was Bill's mom, then it was Ted's mom. Now it's Ted's mom's. Well, I guess it would be his brother's mom now, or his brother's wife. And it's just okay, guys, this is getting a little. I mean, like I said, it was good, but it was again. And I think that's one of the downfalls of the movie is they try to rehash some of the old jokes, and it just didn't work for nowadays. Mm-hmm. Especially me, I love dick and fart jokes. I love airplane movies and Naked Gun and stuff like that. I love the humorous kind of off the wall movies, but with this one, it's just meh.
That's kind of what I felt like too. I was glad they did it because they've been talking about what we'll say decades, right?
Right.
And nowadays, seeing Keanu Reeves where he's at, movie wise, I mean, he's one of the top actors in the world.
John Wick, come on, man.
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Constantine 2.
Yeah, that's actually coming out.
Yeah, no, that's why I said it.
So it's funny to see he came from these type of movies to where he is now, and he's still so humble. That's why he's my favorite actor in reality. Yeah. The dude is just amazing, and I love him.
He's a wonderful human being.
He's a good person, and. To see him actually come back and do this for the fans, because I honestly don't think people actually really cared for Bill and Ted, but actual big fans of his, that's why he did it. He honestly said he would actually view read some of the stuff about it. He actually said he would take a pay cut or not even get paid. He just wanted to do the movie, to do it for the fans, and say he was going to do it or whatever, because he's been wanting to do it for years. And actually, I think Alex Winter, he don't act a lot anymore,
No,
right?
he's been producing and directing. I think I read somewhere that with this movie he had to retake acting lessons to learn how to do some of the things, and it showed big time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's what another one bad thing I didn't like about it was Alex's acting was just not even subpar.
I was going to say the same thing, whatever. But he fit in the movie role because honestly, it doesn't have to be that kind of movie, right? It doesn't have to be serious or anything. I mean, there's some funny parts. So like when they were doing like some of the when they're going back in time and like, were they in jail and they're all like roided out or whatever. That was funny. For a lot of the same jokes, I think that I kind of got that. But they still have some endearing, funny jokes, but most of them, were not that great. A couple of good parts in the movie, but the thing I didn't get, but I guess it was funny, is in the movie. I guess these are spoilers if people aren't listening, so just heads up, spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
They go back in time to find themselves to figure out who and where they created the song, right? And then their daughters go back with them to get influential people to help them write the song, right? And it's like I thought
that it's been written and they know it, but then it got destroyed.
That's the part that didn't make sense to me. Whatever, was that part of the whole time? Maybe I missed that part or whatever, and maybe it just flew over my head. But that part to me didn't make sense to me either. Why that was happening?
To me, they should have, if they were going to go the route that they did, they should have did 2 movies. They should have had them trying to write the song and go, try to find themselves to write the song. Mm-hmm. But then they should have had like a separate movie with their daughters going back in time to get influential people like Louis Armstrong, and I think Mozart was in this one or somebody.
Mozart was in it.
But they should have did something like that. Make it two different parts or whatever. And it just blending them together, kind of threw it together. It's just like, all right, we got to put this out. They didn't put a lot of thought into it, I think.
If the movie did feel rushed, but I think that was the point because, we're during a global pandemic in 2020.
Nothing to do right now.
And they didn't have a lot of time to make a movie. So it's like, we're just going to get this out there and see if people like it. And from, I see like a lot of people our age, 30s, 40s that grew up with it. I'd see most people would probably rate it a B. Like it wasn't great movie. I don't know. I'm not going to do the 1 to 10 scale. I'll just do A through F, and it's like it was a B movie to me. It wasn't a B plus. It wasn't a B minus. It was a B movie to me. That's just the way I felt about it. Is there things they could have done better? Sure, right? I mean, that's like anything, right? I mean, people who wait 3 decades to make a sequel. I mean, there's plenty of movies that have done great, like Mad Max Fury Road was like a good movie, but like Indiana Jones, like Die Hard 4. Did the same thing, and the movies were garbage, in my opinion.
It's like Let It Go, man. Come on. The new Rambo movie, that was good. I liked it. Very gory.
I did too. I did like the new Rambo. There's some movies that work, and it can take this time, but it seems like, again, these reboots, they're taking their time, and it seems like Hollywood as a whole right now, they don't have any original ideas, and this is just one of those things that just keeps happening, where it's like, we don't have any movies to make, so why don't let's go find a great movie and let's reboot it and see if we can just F it up as much as possible.
Not even that. Not even just a great movie. Just a shitty movie. But that's what they should do. Hollywood should start picking out shitty movies and remake them and make them better. Like, I love the original Blair Witch because the idea at the time was really cool. Mm-hmm. Then they re-released it again. They did it again in 2016, but with modern technology, and it was shit. I'm like, you took a great movie and made it shit. Yeah. Why don't you take a shitty movie and just make it great? Find like, I don't know, that movie April Fool's Day I was telling you about. Yeah. There's so many things that they could have did with that movie to make it better for nowadays. So I'm not saying it was a shitty movie, but they could have made something like that. Mm-hmm. And that can make it even make it a bigger thing. Mm-hmm. That's something like that. With Hollywood should do something.
I've never thought it that way. It's actually a really good idea. I think that would actually be a good concept to try. The problem I see with a lot of these movies is they try too hard. Exactly. They try too hard, and they try to throw so much stuff into it that they ruin the movie. They ruin the whole concept of the movie. It's like you're saying with the Blair Witch. The reason the Blair Witch was successful was because it was a low budget movie. No one's ever seen it done before. What they did, you know,
The work they put into publicizing it. I mean, 3 people stuck in the middle of the woods, and I mean, hell, the woman that was in the movie, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. They even faked made an obituary in the local paper of saying that she died.
Right.
I mean, come on, dude. That's fucking awesome to me. You know.
Yeah. So like there's things like that. It's like Paranormal Activity, right? We
Yeah.
we can nitpick in other movies, like another low budget, we call it indie film or independent film, whatever. They marketed it well, and at the end of the day, it was a success. Now, if you try to redo Paranormal Activity or reboot it, when they got 4 or 5 of them now down the road, that's probably going to be a failed movie because you just can't do it. You can only do those movies so many times, right?
Exactly. It's carbon copies. You know, come on. Let it go.
And that's how I feel about it. So it's like with Bill and Ted, you know, I'm glad it wasn't completely botched, but at the same time, I felt like it could have been better. But I wasn't disappointed because nowadays, you know, the way I expect movies, I go into every movie now, and I hate to say this because I never used to, with low expectations because there's so many movies that hype me up, and it's like, man, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. I mean, even with Keanu Reeves movies, I always have in the back of my head, like, you know, John Wick or something like that, we'll use an example. When number 2 or 3 came out, I was like, I don't know if it's going to be as good as the second or third one. Reality was, it blew me away, and I was like, man, these movies are fucking great, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't go in thinking, man, this movie's going to be awesome, because how many times have I been let down over the years of this stuff happening?
Totally.
It's been getting old, and it's like Hollywood really needs to start becoming more creative and make new things. And I don't think we're the only people that have this take on Hollywood right now. I think it's just a norm. They don't have anything good going on. It's like, why don't they start taking movie ideas from, like, let's say, books again, or people that actually are creative writers to have like real life stories or other things that don't sound like the same story that's been rehashed 15 times. Like, why it's so hard to make a Halloween movie? Well, because everyone's done everything, and no one's afraid to Hollywood's afraid to take risk on newer type concept movies, right? And I know you could speak to that wholeheartedly all the time, but that's the big thing I don't get the direction of reboots and remakes. Now, we could get into the discussion about how Kevin Smith put a good turn on reboots and remakes, which we'll get to that. But yeah, there is a difference between reboots and remakes.
Exactly.
And most people don't get that concept. And I think that's just maybe, you know, the lack of knowledge probably around movies and stuff like that. But, you know, I think the whole point I'm trying to make here is I wish they would do newer movies and just
original
movies and just leave the cult classics and things alone, because I'm afraid they're going to try to redo every movie, and it's going to ruin things. Like nothing's sacred anymore. Nothing's untouchable. Yes. Right? That's the way I feel about movies. I'm just waiting for the day they redo like Christine, you know, or something like that.
No.
Or like, I'm just thinking in my head, like movies like that. There's some movies I could think, like, you know, like they just redid Overboard. We'll just use that example. And they
reversed the roles and everything.
Yeah, they reversed the roles. And how terrible
was that movie?
Yeah. I mean, I literally had to turn it off halfway through, but I stuck it out and turned it back on, you know, just to see what happened, because, well, I grew up watching that movie, and it's a good movie with Patrick Swayze and Goldie Hawn. You can't really redo that movie.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can't redo that movie, man. It's just
there's a lot of movies you don't touch. I mean, seriously.
And, you know, 80s and 90s, you know, even though I'm an 80s kid, you know, but I didn't really watch movies in the 80s. Growing up through, like, my dad and, like, you and people show me movies, it's like, dude, the 80s and 90s, we were spoiled with great content movies. Mm-hmm. Original idea.
Thank you.
Right? So it's like nowadays, I don't know where they come up with their concept. It's like, unless they make a fucking Harry Potter or
Marvel,
whatever. And it's like, dude, pump the brakes. Don't talk about Marvel. You know, just like Kevin Smith said, leave Marvel alone. Because man, those are great movies.
Yes,
but
they are.
They do run movies in the ground. Fast and Furious, great. You know, they could have done a couple. They ran that one in the ground. You know, and he makes a great point about that too. It's like they do make these things to the point where, how many times can we watch the same movie 10 times? I don't want to see the 10 Fast and Furious, you know, and them doing, you know, riding waves in a helicopter and jumping out of them. Like, I don't care about that.
Right.
You know, what happened to the point of them being a movie about racing cars? That's why I liked the movie.
Right.
I didn't like it becoming action heroes and saving the world racing cars. I can watch any movie and get that shit nowadays. Right. You know?
See, going along the same lines, it's like with horror movies, they've had so many great franchises have so many sequels, yes, you can continue the story, but a lot of them just. I feel Hollywood takes a big shit on your face when they put them in space. Like Jason X, they put the motherfucker in space. Leprechaun, they have Leprechaun in space. They were talking about doing a Hellraiser movie at one point to put him in space. Why? Why is space any different than being on Earth?
It's because it's the sci-fi horror that there's a genre of music, not music, but genre of movies that people enjoy, and they're trying to throw it into that mix of the crowd, and it's like, dude, again, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, Alien and Predator, when they did that, their sci-fi type thing, sure, that can work. But if you're going to do like Alien versus Jason in space, kill yourself, because nobody wants to see that.
Right. I mean, Hollywood should learn from each other, so to say. Like they like I said, they did Leprechaun in space. Well, first they did Jason in space, then they did Leprechaun in space. They should have learned that Jason X was shit. Don't anybody else do it. They even they kind of learned when they did Jason versus Freddy. They haven't done any versus movie after that. They were supposed to do a Candyman versus Leprechaun. Michael was supposed to be against either Leatherface or Pinhead, something like that. They learned not to do that because of that movie. It's a great thing that they did stop stuff like that, because some of those movies would get ridiculous. And I'm glad.
Those kind of movies, they should have, that again, I think there's this day and age that we live in, these movies that you see, especially with, it doesn't matter if it's a reboot for Halloween movies or whatever, cult classic movies. There should be a level of times, and I think Hollywood doesn't care at this point, is they should ask fans. There should be some type of thing, like, in this days and age, why can't they go on IMDb or do and ask me anything on Reddit or anything like that at all. So,
for real. Because if you think about it, it's like, I don't want to sound like they're sounding selfish, but it is. They're just doing it just to make money. They see what makes money, and they're going with it, which is horrible.
Yeah.
Musicians they say they make money for their or they make albums for their fans, and they're not. If you think about it, because why would, I don't know. I love Metallica, but I'm going to say it anyway. A lot of people didn't like the S&M albums because it has to do with the orchestra. I mean, seriously, who gives a shit if Metallica does it with the orchestra? I think it's a great idea. But like the Loyalists, it's not the first 5 albums. It's like, so what?
Well, again, people like Metallica and any other genre of music or movies, people like people to stay true to their roots, like video games or anything, right? Yeah. One reason I love Zelda, and it's my favorite game, and why I love Nintendo, I'm such a fanboy of Nintendo, is because every game they make is polished and they stay to their roots. They never go off it. Now, music, different. It's different because, or maybe it's not different. Maybe it's the same thing. People like to be creative and they like to get out of their comfort zone. How many albums can Metallica make, or how many, things can you guys do repetitive and it gets old? That's why people like, you see nowadays everybody wants to try to appeal to pop culture, so they try to throw in pop culture in their music. They try it, usually it fails. For most bands, I would say it fails because they want to try something new and creative. And then they go back to their roots and do the same shit again. It's like a one album thing. Hey, let's try something new, right?
It didn't work, so let's try this other thing.
How many times? How long has Metallica been around? 35 years?
Almost 40. 40 next
almost
year.
40 years. Okay, so we'll say 40. How many times have they done everything? Probably a lot of times. They're probably to the point where they're just like, you know what? I want to try something different. Which Hollywood can do the same thing. Let's try something different. Why do we got to keep doing this continuous thing? I guess my point is I'm making. Who wants to continuously make the same movies over and over again,
It gets very, very boring, especially for us fans.
Well, correct. For people that are really into movies and stuff, you need to do new things, right? And that's what I like about new stories, new stuff. It's like there's a lot of movies that come out, and that's why I search for like indie films and other things just to get into, because a lot of the movies they put out, I don't know who comes up with these ideas and who approves them. It makes me wonder. It's like, is this an old person thing, like old mindset, or is it a new generation of people that are just like, hey, this sounds great, let's do this because this appeals to a lot of people in pop culture? I don't know.
Right. It's like they have a bunch of different movie ideas in a hat and they pull one out. It's like, oh, look, we're going to do Maximum Overdrive. How can we make it shitty? And they pull off another hat. Oh, we're going to add, this to that, whatever. That's one thing I read about. I forgot which movie I was reading on IMDb about. Is that a lot of movies nowadays too? If all the remakes that they're doing, it's like somebody comes up with the original idea or part of one, like the first act of a movie, but then after that they finish it off with the actual rest of the original movie. Mm-hmm. Kind of like if you see, I think it's something on top of my head here. Like the new Halloween, okay? First, somebody wrote an idea saying, "Oh, we're going to have a serial killer try to come back to get out of the insane asylum." But then after that, they're like, "Wait a minute, Michael Myers. He we can say he was in an insane asylum, and then throw in the Michael Myers theme after that."
That's a good point.
A lot of people they come up with original acts of a movie, like parts of a movie, but then they throw in whatever they want after that.
Yeah, and again, I'll use the term I think a lot of people use that are big movie buffs is the throwaway stuff.
Yeah,
stuff that doesn't
exactly.
matter and has no point to the movie. It's like it's filler. It's
filler.
something it's the way they throw it in there. I don't know why they do that. To me, it's kind of like,
why do that? I mean, seriously.
Well, it's like nowadays for example, like IMDb or something. Like you can be a film critic. For anything nowadays. And they have these certified people that are on there or whatever. And most of the time, I feel like a lot of people work for these companies to give them good reviews or whatever. And then you see a lot of good things from fans that are on there that give like honest opinions. If you like spoilers and like reading things ahead of time, you want to know their stuff. Great. And I think that's good. Now I think what they changed up and they did, it's like you have to pay to see the movie to leave a review. Yeah. Thought that was a great idea because there's a lot of people going on there just to hate the movies. They hate them. So you get a lot of bad information. So they don't
wrong information too,
right? And they do it to the tank movies because people don't like them or whatever they're upset about. Again, goes back to what I was trying to say is, if they reach out to fans, Hollywood, they could probably get some really good movies from actual, deep fans. For example, we'll just use again, like Lord of the Rings or something. There's so much lore and things of Lord of the Rings. Do you think Hollywood actually goes out to the fans and says, "Hey, let me ask you this kind of stuff"? No, they don't care. They want to ruin the movie. They'll do whatever they want to do. They'll make the movie, piss off fans. I mean, best example, Star Wars. You got the old generation Star Wars fans, and you got the new gen, right? And they made these. What are the movies they make nowadays? Turn the Jedi or whatever. What was one of the newer ones? Sorry.
Last Skywalker or something. One of those ones. They made side movies.
Oh, Force Awakens or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Right. We'll just use that as an example. And you got people they're in the middle that like it. People absolutely hate it, and the people that absolutely love it, right? And I'm not a huge Star Wars fan by any means, but
I'll watch it. Yeah,
I'll watch it. Again, I went in with expectations. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a huge super fan, so it didn't really bother me that much. But at the end of the day, it's like there are some movies they made that are newer, and I'm not saying, I can't remember off the top of my head every title, but they're garbage.
Yeah,
and they're not for me. Like I'm watching The Mandalorian right now.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it, dude. I went in there and watched the first season. I don't know if I really watched it. Second season started. I restarted the first season just to catch back up because I kind of forgot because it was 6 months ago.
Right.
I tend to forget things. So I rewatched it. It's good.
Yeah.
I even got my wife into it. Laura watching or whatever. She's like, hey, this is actually pretty good. She doesn't like Star Wars one bit. It's like, wow, someone actually put some creativity into a new show, new concept, new idea. And come to find out from my buddy, he told me that on the first 3 episodes of Mandalorian, they've had a new director for each one. So they give a different idea of everything, trying something new. It's like, wow, did Disney do something right for once? Maybe, for being a multi-billion-dollar industry and makes movies.
Right.
Maybe they actually found something that actually like, hey, why don't we try something new? It's like you guys make Marvel movies and the MCU makes great movies. So why isn't everybody trying to do that? I don't know. I think DC finally caught on to doing that because now they're trying to do better movies. They've hired better directors, better stuff. We'll see when things come out. But again, I think there's just movies we could talk about. Like, for example, I'll bring up another movie and we can deep dive into it is, Jane Silent Bob, the reboot, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So we're big Kevin Smith fans.
Yep.
You made me a big Kevin Smith fan growing up.
Snoochie fucking boochies.
Yeah, so the new movie was the reboot, right? And the original one, I guess they went off of was Jay and Bob Strike Back, which was like back in 2001. So 19 years ago, they made this movie, and people have been asking for a new Jay and Silent Bob movie. 19 years later, you get the movie reboot. So there will be spoilers I'll probably talk about, but it's like if you know the original movie of They Strike Back, I think they're going back like to Hollywood to stop Blunt Man and Chronic from being made.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a movie made about the comic that's based on them, and they want to stop because they want their money.
Correct. So in the new one, and it kind of plays off each other because I guess a lot of people don't pay attention to this or just don't know. It's like Jay and Silent Bob, the movie Reboot, they're going in time to, I guess, not time, but they're going to stop the movie being rebooted. So kind of the same concept, right?
Kind of, it's Hollywood's making a Blunt Man versus Chronic movie, so they're going to stop that movie because they're not getting their money off that because they didn't make the money from the original comic, and it's kind of weird like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little loophole or something. But yeah, it's again, and it puts a good point to the whole premise of what we're talking about, and this is why I'm using this movie as an example because it has a lot of things we're touching on. It's like Hollywood wants to make a lot of money without hassle of creating new movies. They take an old movie and just take,
rehash it.
You rehash it and you make them pay for the same shit over and over again. Again, that's kind of what
Bill did.
Yeah, that's what a reboot is, right? So the premise of that, pretty much what I just said is, they want to take a movie, same title, change a couple things, and make you repay for it, right? And a good example they make in the movie, of course, is Force Awakens because I think. Brody used the example of, what's a movie that where, a robot, with a black mask tries to, blow up the Death Star or does something like that. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's the original Star Wars movie. What's it called?
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, something like that, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know the movie at the top of my head.
You're fine.
I'm botching whatever I'm saying. But then he goes, no, Force Awakens, and they're like, oh, well, I thought that was a sequel, right? And it's like, no, it's kind of the same
it's a
movie.
prequel.
Yeah, it's kind of a movie that's rehashed. So they're like, oh, okay. So they're like, well, what the hell is the difference between a reboot and a remake? And here's the point I was making. They're like, oh, well, a remake, is a reboot where the studio doesn't care about how the audience feels about the movie. They just keep the title, fuck up everything else, and run both flicks in the same process,
Right.
That's that lowbrow humor of Kevin Smith. Yeah. But it gets right to the point. He does always make fun of Hollywood really well. And the difference between reboot and remake, it was dead on in a funny way that people could grasp the concept. So, the other thing about this movie is funny is it's kind of the same idea as how when they go to court or whatever, and they
get their names taken away, their own names taken away from them because Jay signed a contract giving it away to Sabian Films, who did the Power Rangers,
right? And and he actually signs it away in court when they're in there for court for a different reason.
Yeah,
he thought he was there to represent him, and he's like, you just signed away your rights, and they can't even use their name Jay and Silent Bob anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
So like the whole movie, they're going to, are they trying to go to Chronicon in Hollywood, or was that called Chronicon?
Yeah, Chronicon.
Yeah, and they go there and they're trying to get 3 days to stop the film. And the best part about the movie to me is when Kevin Smith is not even playing Jay and Silent Bob, but he's the one directing the movie. He's on stage. Is like, hey, you guys are here for Chronicon, here to say Jay and Bob Silent Reboot. And
he wears a lot of hats in that movie.
He does wear a lot of hats, and they're like, we fucking hate that guy,
Even his daughter, who plays the lead woman in that movie, just rips on him so bad. It's not even funny. I don't know if she actually wrote her parts or whatever, or he had her in mind. Say, hey, I think she's got a lot of angst against me. I'm gonna use this, and went with it. And I think for being a rebooted movie, that made it a good movie. But what was annoying to me, again, going back to what we were talking about with Bill and Ted, is they did recycle a lot of the old jokes. If you're a big, like you said, Kevin Smith fan, like you said, me and you are, you would understand a lot of the jokes in the movie. But if you've never seen a Kevin Smith movie, you might be like, huh? Like, spoiler alert, of course, when they're going through Chronicon and you see the crew from the Clerks, they're in black and white.
Yeah.
I once I saw that, I thought that was hilarious. But then somebody who else might have been like, why are they black?
That's a good point. See, in that case, too, I think with Bill and Ted as well, you have to watch, Jay and Bob Silent Strike Back to get the stuff that's going on in the reboot in 2019,
Exactly.
Sorry.
Not just that one, some of the other ones, too, because they have jokes within jokes of each other, of each movie.
From each movie.
Yeah.
I get that, but I'm saying, like, if you want a good thing, you have to start at a slate.
Yeah, start somewhere.
And it's like the same thing with Bill and Ted. I wouldn't watch number 3 without seeing number 1. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. It's more things from number 1 than number 2, but there's a little bit of number 2 and number 3 as well, talking about it. But yeah, to your point, you have to know Kevin Smith's humor and some of the things he does, like his jabs and pokes and stuff he does, making fun of Hollywood or playing into all the things that he has like inside jokes with everybody. It's like, again,
or even his own personal life, like when they made the when they're at the fucking movies. My bad, movies, the fictional restaurant they play in the movie. That he said he wanted something vegan. And that's what the manager of the store, gives him, goes and fucks him in the bathroom. She said, "I just ate some, I just ate some vegan." If you didn't know that in real life that he was a vegan, you wouldn't have got that joke. Or
right.
if, when Jay was saying like Bob lost all his fucking weight, I can't say fly fat ass fly, because he lost all this weight. If you didn't know Kevin Smith before, this movie was not. I don't think it's for you because you would not get a lot of the jokes.
You're right. Like if you didn't watch Mallrats to see Fly Fat Ass Fly and
right.
a lot of the jokes or whatever, you wouldn't understand the premise of the joke. So there is some things that you have to know about the movies. That's why there's a big Kevin Smith following because he does make original idea movies, but he sticks to his roots.
Right.
Right. And again, there's some things I didn't really like about the reboot. Like, let's just say, like 20-year-old me. There's a lot of jokes in here that I would have probably laughed my ass off to, and some of the things now it's like I can't laugh. And maybe if I was super stoned, because there's some like stoner part jokes in the movie, yeah, I would laugh. I still got them. They were kind of like a chuckle, not really like a laugh. But that was the only thing that kind of turned me off about the movie, was like some of the jokes and some of the crap they were doing. But I guess that's, again, he's appealing to new generation fans and older generation fans, which I'm okay with because that's what you have to do to stay relevant in films. You can't just appeal to older people, you know what I'm saying, like the original fans or whatever. But you got to do a little bit of both, right? I think Star Wars tried that. They failed miserably. I think Kevin Smith does that a little bit better, but I don't think this movie was, let's say, terrible. Again, if I was going to give it a rating, I'd probably give it a B+, out of all the movies he has. It wasn't my favorite Jay and Silent Bob moment or any movie, but for a reboot movie, I thought it was okay. It had a lot of good parts, and it had some terrible parts. But at the end of the day, I wasn't really upset with it. I mean, again, most people don't know. Spoiler: that Kevin Smith's daughter plays in the movie as Jay's daughter, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then Jay's daughter's in the movie later
as Ben Affleck's daughter.
As Ben Affleck's daughter. So,
and just Bob's wife, Kevin Smith's wife's in it, and all his friends, and pretty much. Let me ask you this one though, since you didn't like it, or you had issues with some of the jokes you said about when you were 20. Do you think it could be is it Kevin Smith's writing, and he's trying to appeal to the newer age, or is it just because you're older? It's not as funny anymore. Like I could still watch Cheech and Chong and laugh my ass off, like I just watched it and just toked up a doob, And God, using old people terms there, I could still laugh at it like that. But then if I see other movies like Billy Madison, and laugh at things, I'm just like, I get a little chuckle. Is that is it because of age, or do you think just that's because Kevin's writing?
I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword. We'll put it this way.
Right, okay.
I think it has to do with me and my age, and maybe my expectations. Again,
you and your goddamn expectations.
Well, it's just the way it is. It's like once they've done something, rehashing stuff, I like for the nostalgic part of it. It's like cool. I get the feel for it. It's like there's nostalgia with this, right? And I really enjoy it. But at the same time, it's like I appreciate it. But I wanted something new. I wanted some funnier stuff to go on. So it's like you can only do so much Jay and Silent Bob jokes. They should have some new ones. Like that's why it made them so great. When from the original ones, they had all this original content and things you never saw before.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to see this stuff. But again, I think some of the humor's for stoners, some's for the older generations, some from the younger generations.
A lot of it's for the PC or things. Because you think about it, like Clerks. One of the main themes of the Clerks, spoiler alerts here, was necrophilia. What's her face was in the bathroom and fucked a dead guy.
Yeah.
Then you got Mallrats. The main theme was kind of like revenge against the man, and then a guy trying to get the girl, and a lot of Jaws references in it. Then you got Dogma that attacked religion. Then Jay and Bob had a lot of dick and fart jokes and gay jokes. It depends on what movie you watch. You're getting different kind of jokes, and then like you said with the reboot, you're not getting any of that. You're getting the new Kevin Smith, the new PC, I guess, version of him.
Well, and I guess to talking that I don't want to bring it up because it's in everything we talk about, but reality is the woke culture nowadays is really ruined comedy to the point where people are very pissified and they're very reluctant to put anything in there that might offend somebody. And it's like, if you go, this is why I'll talk about it, and anybody that's listening to it. If you go to a comedy show and don't expect to get offended about something, and then there's something wrong with you. Like if you're going to a comedy show to be offended and get upset about something, then you're not the kind of person that needs to go there.
Exactly.
So if you're going to a movie that's a comedy to get upset, I get it. It's 2020. There's more diverse and woke things that are in stuff, but a lot of that stuff is ruined movies. It's ruined stuff. It's why they have to rehash stuff. It's why they have to pander and do certain things. And I feel like that you've lost a lot of good movie stuff, and now we're talking about this, is why people are going to reboots and remakes is because there's a lot of things that people want to do, they can't do because they're afraid of backlash, of being outcasted on Twitter or social media or in the media because they made a wrong dick or fart joke. We'll put it as your way, and offended the wrong people. And it's always a small minority, they're not the majority of people who they're upset about this. It's like most people would go about their daily lives and laugh at this and say that was great and funny and wouldn't care about it. It's like, that's what I want with movies. And to my point earlier is that's why I go to movies, to escape reality. I don't go to the movies to get sucked into the shit that I read and listen to all day long on the internet, on the radio, on TV. Anywhere I go, sports, it's annoying. I want movies, video games, sports, music to be out of that kind of stuff, to be their own thing, right? So it's like, I think a lot of people would agree on that. I'm sure there's people that agree and disagree as well, because I think there's been good about what's happened over the last couple of years with some of the stuff they do. But I think a lot of it is overblown and over the top, and that's why you're seeing comedy go underground, right? Yeah. You're not seeing, you can't, people like Dave Chappelle, you can't cancel. Sorry. South Park, you can't cancel. They've been doing it for so long. But newer shows, they don't have that freedom to do this, right? New movies, they don't have that freedom to do this, right?
Right.
That's what I think has kind of upset a lot of people who are movie fans, because they're making movies to pander to things that people just don't give a shit about, and it's not why I go to the movies, right? For example, and I'll just I'll make this quick and short because I can make this a rant for hours. Is
that's another podcast? Yeah,
that's another podcast. We'll call that. Is I don't go to a movie to care about people's identities or gender or anything like that. They want to put it in there and it's organic. I'm all for that. I don't care about that, but that doesn't make a good movie for me, right? If you got a good storyline or a good backstory with lore and all the stuff we'd like that you're a movie buff and you like, give me more of that. That's what I love. That's what I get involved in. It's like, that's what zones me in and makes me like, man, I love this stuff. Like the fantasy stuff. I can't get enough of fantasy, right? Sam got me really into fantasy. Right. I'll never not be into fantasy now because of it, because all the cool stuff that goes into it. But do you think I really care about, a character's gender or what they identify as, or like who they're having sex with, or whatever? Right. It's like that stuff don't matter to me in a movie, right? Yeah. That's not real life. This is supposed to be fictitious and fake. Now, if that's what the movie's premise is about, great, but I don't need to know that a dwarf is gay. Like, it doesn't do anything for me in Lord of the Rings. And unless it goes with the storyline, there's a reason why they're telling this. For example, after Harry Potter was made, 5 years, 6 years later, 10 years later, they say Dumbledore is gay. What does that have to do with the storyline? Right. It doesn't have anything to do to it. It's just pandering stuff.
He's not sucking dick on film or anything.
Right. It's like, and I'm not trying to offend anybody about this, but it's like, if you don't grasp my concept of why it doesn't matter, then you probably shouldn't be watching movies, and you need to be doing something else, because I get it. Some people find that very important to them, but for 99% of the people that watch movies, that's not important to them. It's just like playing video games, right? I don't care if my character has any of those traits. It's like, give me a good video game with good storyline and good all that stuff. I will buy this video game all day and play it, all day. Yeah. That's the point. It's why I play games too. It's like I get sucked into it so I can forget about stuff. It's supposed to be a stress reliever. I mean, this is why I get so passionate, I guess, about this, and then I don't want to keep ranting about this at all, because I'm sure people are like, shut the fuck up. But
no.
You get to a point where it's like it gets over the top, and I hope Hollywood gets to a point, because you've seen the movies they've done to this kind of stuff is just crash and burn, and it hasn't really, I guess, stuck with them in their brain that, hey, this doesn't work, right? this is not what people want to see. It's like, just make a good movie, man. That's all we ask for. It's like, example, again, with the reboots and stuff, there's so many we can talk about. I can talk about Point Break, for example, right?
God.
But another Keanu Reeves movie. I don't want to bring this up, but it's like the original Point Break. It's great. Gary Busey and him, bank robbers, whatever is going on, and
no.
What?
No. Yeah, Gary Busey's in it, yes. Patrick Swayze, come on. This is where your Patrick Swayze came in.
I'm sorry, Patrick Swayze, right. Keanu Reeves, whatever. But,
yeah.
But yeah, Gary Busey's in it, whatever. I'd have to name drop because most people know everybody's in the movie.
I just like giving you shit, you know me.
But the point, it's like, it's a bank heist movie. It's like cool, great movie. They redo it, no bank heist, no nothing. They make it about, I guess, them about stealing stuff and going around and collect. Have you seen the movie?
No.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert. Sorry, I forgot to say that. But it's like they made a terrible movie that the guys are all adrenaline junkies. Which is cool because that's kind of what the premise of the last one was.
Yeah.
And they're like to surf and do stuff, but these guys already have money. They're like on yachts and doing stuff, and they're going around collecting these like fictitious things that like complete this thing that Bodhi was always wanting to do.
Okay.
And it sounds cool, right? Whatever they're doing, but when you watch the movie, it is so bad. It's like who came up with this idea? Because in the reality, it's like they could have went a different direction with it and probably made a really good reboot, but they botched it again.
Right.
So why do they continue to do this? I don't know. And that's what I'm trying to get to point to. I guess that's what our podcast is. It's like there is some good reboots. I'm not going to say there isn't good reboots. I can name some reboots that are good. But for the most part, it's like it's just a money-making thing. And I think that's where, to the point as fans, when do people say enough is enough? Do we just stop going to see these movies or what? Because like, who's going to listen to us? It's like, you can go online and be a fan critic, just like you can go be a food critic on, whatever that app is. What is that app? Yelp, right? Yelp. It's like, I could walk into the store and I'm like, hey, I'm a Yelper. And, like, the South
Give
Park.
me free shit.
The South Park episode of Cartman's like, I'm a Yelper. And they just give them free food because they want good stars or whatever. It's like, why can't we do that with movies and actually take that consideration? Well, they kind of did now. They took that away from us because people were doing that. We could still put the power in our hand, but now we have to pay for it, right? Which I guess is okay because you can't really hate on something until you've seen it, especially in a movie sense. But to me, in this day and age, I think they should listen to fans more. I guess the point is, it's like I wish they would actually take us into consideration when before making these movies, right? And I don't know if there's gonna be an app or a forum, but it's like Reddit's a good place. There is a lot of people that do a lot of stuff for anything you want to look on. The Ask Me Anythings or feedback for just like developers design apps or games or movies or music or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that people get out of that stuff. Why don't movies do that? That's all I want. Or even like the people who are like directors or doing stuff, they should listen to it. I think some actually good ones do. Right. And maybe they just need more of that, man. I wish I would see more of that stuff.
Well, see, back in, I want to say the 90s, a perfect movie would be the Spawn movie. They listened, they would write the movie the way they wanted to, but then as they were producing it and putting everything all together, they had the fans in mind. But then it didn't, for some reason, it didn't work because you can't please everyone. You might have a fan like let me think here, the Vacation movie. Have you seen the remake of the Vacation movie?
Yeah.
A lot of fans loved it because they had a lot of inside jokes from the original movies. But then that was appeased to a lot of people. But then you had some of these other diehards like, no, you can't do that. You can't copy the original. So it's hard to please everyone, which I understand. I totally understand with Hollywood. It's hard to do some movies because of that. But then it's like, seriously, dude, how horrible do you have to fuck it up? Seriously.
Then that's what I feel about it. You made a good point with the Christmas Vacation and all the National Lampoon's movie. There's a lot of remakes, reboots, or whatever you want to call it. And they have a lot of good ones. Chevy Chase, all the Chevy Chase ones are good. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that's a Chevy Chase fan who's going to say either of his movies were terrible. I mean, those movies are iconic and cult classics, in my opinion.
Vegas Vacation was a little meh, but
I still liked it because it gave me that Chevy Chase feel. Yeah, maybe it didn't have the original. They only had him and the wife as original cast because, well, maybe they couldn't get the.
Well, if you think about it, the kids were never the same anyway throughout the whole thing anyway.
Well, that and they're too old to play kids.
Yeah.
Right. So like you kind of put that into consideration too, but. Chevy Chase makes those films, right? And the newer ones or whatever, and they did with Van Wilder and stuff like that. Yeah. I actually liked one of the Van Wilder ones with Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds is amazing, right? But they did the next one with like Tosh or whatever, just like after like his apprentice. Yeah. It was awful.
Another movie, it's like you just should have left it alone at Van Wilder. It's like,
no, chill out on the spinoffs.
on the spinoffs. Yeah, okay, and that's a good point. But thinking in my head when you brought up some movies and thinking about older movies, because that's where they got a lot of stuff. It's like, I think we've touched on this before, maybe in my other podcast, but it's like Bad News Bears to me always sticks out, right?
I started listening to that one today.
Walter Matthau in the original one, you can't replace Walter Matthau, the grumpy old funny guy. I mean, there's a reason he's in Grumpier Old Men. The dude plays that character to a T. You can't beat it. It's one of the funniest films ever. Him and that old guy ranting and going off on tangents and stuff. Yeah. And the original one, he's a drunk alcoholic baseball coach, right? Yeah. And the newer one, Billy Bob Thornton is that kind of guy, right? He is funnier and shit. I think that is a good reboot they did. But there's things I just wish they wouldn't have did about it. And I guess it's a twofold or double-edged sword, you want to say. It's like, I like the newer Bad News Bears, but I didn't because the kid actors sucked, right? In the original one, the kid actors make the movie. This one, they trashed me. Billy Bob Thornton, perfect person. They could do Walter Matthau. I don't think there's anybody else that could replay that one besides him. Because Bad Santa, another great example of someone that's a drunk, alcoholic, grumpy, like go fuck yourself person, right? So when they redid the movie, I was like, cool. I was excited about it. And this is one reason I don't get my hopes up with anything that it gets rebooted or redone anymore. It's when I went and seen it, I was like, the kid actors ruined it for me, right? Why do you think Stranger Things is so good? The kid actors. Okay. It redone. We'll talk about it.
Yep.
It 1 and 2, they just came out. The original original ones, the kid actors, killed it. In the newer one, the kid actors killed it. In the second movie, the adults sucked in it, right? Yeah. It's the same reason why I don't like Bad News Bears, because the kids. It's like they can make or break a movie, especially with kid actors. For some reason, I have a hard time. I'm more hard on the kid actor stuff because it's very hard to find kids that can actually act because they're not mature yet, right?
Right.
I'm not saying there isn't good kid actors. I mean, because like Macaulay Culkin is one of our childhood favorite kids actors, probably one of my favorite ones. That
he should have never grown up.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Like
Uncle Buck, man, come on, you can't play Uncle Buck.
His parents kind of crashed and burned his life. So
yeah. That and drugs.
Yeah, that and drugs. Well, I mean, what after his parents did, then you can't really hate him for that being
exactly.
But he's cool now. He actually has his own podcast. It's like that Bunny, whatever the hell it's called or something. I've listened to it. It's okay. He's a good person, though. I actually like listening to him. Funny little side note about him is he makes so much money a year off of Home Alone and his original movies. He doesn't have to act the rest of his life. And his financial advisor, I mean, dude, of course he's got millions of dollars or whatever, but it's like those movies alone give him millions of dollars a year. He doesn't have to act. Yeah. That's how successful he is as a person who doesn't act. Can't name too many actors, I don't think, in my hand that can do that from a child actor. Probably none. He's probably the exception to the rule, right? But going back to what we're saying, it's like Bad News Bears and stuff like that. It's like, dude, why did they make this movie? I get why they did it to appeal to people like our mom and dad's age, right? Yeah. It's like, could you imagine them redoing Used Cars? My dad, when we're talking about that
your dad would shit.
My dad would freak out. Again, another great movie. You can't redo that movie. And if you did, man, you'd have to have some real approval. I mean, Kurt Russell would have to be in the movie, right? Yeah. I mean, he's still alive. He's still making movies. The dude would have to be like handed off to his son or something that had to do something like that or whatever. I don't know how they would do that, but please don't remake that movie. If anyone's listening, probably not going to be listening because our podcast doesn't have any fans.
We could do a whole podcast of movies that should not be remade.
Right, we probably could.
A whole miniseries.
But it's. I'm glad we're talking about it because we do go on. We have frequent talks about this and rants about it. It's like we're such big movie fans. Why hasn't anybody else in Hollywood get this? Again, probably because they see it as a quick turnaround for money. Right? They're not really caring about the fans at this point, but they will because I think a lot of times we're going to get sick of it. It's like I think we made a point of this in one of our podcasts too. It's like how many superhero movies can you do, right? Right. Superhero movies are going to get to a point where they're burnt out. Now, right now, I'm not burnt out of them to its sake because Marvel does a good job of them. But down the road, I will probably get sick of them, right? Right. You can only do so many superhero movies, right? So they're going to have to come up with something new because, yeah, they're great movies now, but like it's going to be hard to beat the original Avengers movie crew, right? That's just my opinion because that's what we grew up for the last 10 years watching those movies, right? Yeah. So expectations really there are high for me from Marvel. I hate to say that, but it's like it is. And if they don't make those movies as good as they made those movies, I'm going to be utterly pissed and disappointed. But again, I'm not going to get my hopes up because that's the problem, right? So I mean, they're almost done with it. With Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man's gonna make some cameos and stuff in some movies, which is great. But please, you know, if they're going to do anything, listen to some of the fans and some of this stuff. It's like, I know now they have the whole Wolverine and, you know, and X-Men.
Yeah.
They got the rights of it. I think they can do it right, and they can blend into Marvel because they do in the comics, right?
Yeah.
Just do it right. That's all I ask. Like, if you're going to make these movies, just do them right. And that's, I think, what most fans are wanting. And I think that's why we're talking about the movie reboots in the sense of this. There's so many things they could do right, and they choose to do wrong. I don't know. I mean, I've been talking forever, so it's like, do you have anything else to say about all this stuff?
You make very valid points. It's just we'll have to see what 2021 brings, because you know everything from now until before 2010, when all these superhero movies and stuff start coming out, we got to see what happens, because you know, just things are going to be remade. I understand, and even throughout the 80s, they remade some movies the same way. Mm-hmm. But it's just some movies, like you said, leave them alone. Seriously, I mean, Bad News Bears was a bad idea. I do like Billy Bob Thornton. I love Walter Matthau. You know, Grown Man was great.
Yeah,
but it's just some of these movies just leave it alone.
I mean, in a sense, you kind of have to, because there is a nostalgic and there is a untouchable feel with some of these movies. It's like you're going to ruin something. It's like trying to reboot Terminator. Now, I know they've remade some movies and do stuff. We can talk about that
sequels
too.
And stuff like
and
that.
Sequels,
yeah.
Whatever. But if you try to redo Terminator without Arnold, I would expect
something very fucking good. If he's not in it, it better be fucking good movie.
Right. I mean, he was the era of action movies.
He was the fucking Terminator.
Right. I mean, not just that. He's the definition of action. You go through action movies: Commando, Terminator, Last Action Hero. I know it's stupid, but that's true. I mean, that's a great movie for Jingle All the Way. I mean, that's a kid movie. Is that a Christmas movie or what?
Yes, Christmas movie.
All right, so we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. It's like arguments. It's like Die Hard, you know?
Yeah. You have to have Bruce Willis in it. Fuck Shia LaBeouf.
Right. But also, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says.
Thank you.
There's always an argument, whatever, going in the world. Die Hard's a Christmas movie, man. I'm sorry. It's during Christmas. They got Christmas trees around everything. They even talk about Christmas in there. Fuck off. It's Christmas.
Got you one better. Another Christmas movie that people don't give it credit for, Gremlins.
Gremlins is a Christmas movie,
people
too.
Do not think about that. Like, where the fuck do you think he got it? He got it as a Christmas gift.
There's
snow on the ground.
Snow. There's tents all over Gizmo. Like,
thank you.
What else do you want? You know, we watched
that during Christmas time. That and Trading Places.
Trading Places is kind of like
it's Christmas New Year's movie.
Yeah, it is. I'd say it's Christmas New Year's, and my dad would attest that as well because he knows.
I love that fucking movie.
That's again, you got people like that make those original movies. They actually talked about making Trading Places too, with Eddie Murphy and whatever. But it's like, but why wait till you're 60 or 70 to make the movie? Again, like Ghostbusters, right? They're redoing it. One of the characters died, Egon or whatever. I can't remember the guy's name, the original actor. What's his name?
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis, yeah. They're going to do it right. That was supposed to come out this year. They didn't. Yep. They have all the original cast and all the stuff, and they have kids. They actually have a good line of kid actors. There's one kid from Stranger Things and a couple other movies. I can't remember what these kids are from. And I bet it's actually going to be good because they actually took their time to do it. Now, the remake with the women, sorry, that movie was terrible. There ain't nobody that's going to change my mind. Yeah. And it's not because it's women. It's because the movie was terrible. That's all it comes down to. Sorry, not sorry that people can't get over the fact that they think it's just about that. But it's like,
I love Melissa McCarthy. I love what's her name, Leslie, whatever.
I
love the actors, but just that movie was just horrible.
Yeah, you have good actors and actresses. Yeah. Chris Hemsworth as an assistant, I get it.
That's right.
You know, pander to that, the guy, the good-looking guy for the women. I get it.
Dumb in a Box of Rocks.
But in the original Ghostbusters, their assistant wasn't good-looking. She was a dorky, nerdy person that was there.
But it fit.
But it fit the theme, right?
Yeah.
Didn't fit their theme in that movie. It was kind of like a movie they just threw together to say, like, hey, we're going to appeal to something, ruined another thing movie. That's why that should have never been made, right? Yeah. Another movie, in my opinion.
The only thing I really liked about that movie, just going back to nostalgia stuff, Slimer got a girlfriend in that movie. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
That was cool. I mean, from Ghostbusters, it was funny. Like if you're a kid and if you grew up and you play with Slimer and the toys and all that crap and stuff.
I think most of it stems from, for me too, is Slimer was supposed to be in the original movie. John Belushi was supposed to be there instead of Bill Murray. but since he passed away, they nicknamed the Slimer basically John Belushi. So that for me, that's why I thought it was kind of cool because it kind of reminds me of like Animal House when at the end of the Animal House, John Belushi's character gets the girl too.
Oh, while we're talking about that,
Uh-oh.
good point. In our reboot movie, I could just talk.
If they fucking do Animal House, I'm going to slit everyone's
I don't think
fucking
they
throat.
can. I don't think you can do that without John Belushi. It's one of those movies. I think it might be untouchable.
It is very untouchable.
Is Roadhouse? Did you see the remake of Roadhouse?
No, I have not seen the remake.
So I showed Laura, my wife,
Yeah.
this movie, the original one.
Okay.
The best one with Patrick Swayze.
Right.
And she's like, "Wow, this is actually really holds up for its time, and it's a good movie." And,
Yeah.
and she likes Patrick Swayze, what woman did, and she probably thinks he's hot because he can dance and got a nice body or whatever. And he's a great actor, right?
Right.
So the idea of like people that party at clubs or whatever, and that was like their club back in the day, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
And they had bouncers, and that's what it was. It's like great, but the new one with like Ronda Rousey and some of the actors they put into it,
She's in it?
yeah, she's one of the bouncers in the movie or
shit.
whatever. It's just awful, and I like Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
do I.
I don't think
Yeah.
she's a good actor, but I get the idea of like, hey, I'm tough, and like a bouncer type person, whatever.
Right.
And again, this isn't a knack at women or anything like that at all, because people will probably put those words in my mouth or their brain just because I mentioned her. But the movie was awful, and it's like you can't reboot that movie, right? It's like again, can you imagine what would happen if women, or sorry, not women, if people, and then this is actually for women though, if people actually try to reboot like Ghost or what's that Dances with Wolves, but what's that other movie that people like, that Dirty Dancing?
Dirty Dancing.
Could you imagine what women would freak out about those movies? Like some iconic love story, great movies, whatever. They redid those. Probably some women would actually probably like it, but a lot of them would be like, "What the fuck are you doing? You can't."
Even
redo
50
this."
Shades.
Yeah, let's redo Grease while we're at it, right? You know what I'm
God.
saying? I'm just saying, like these
Yeah.
movies that are iconic cult classics that
Yeah.
people
Leave
grew up
them
loving,
alone. Yeah.
all people of all ages. Yeah, please, no. That's the kind of stuff you can't touch. To me, it's untouchable. We could do a movie about just untouchable movies.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, like a podcast, and that, even though I don't,
Yeah, it's another time.
even though I don't like those movies, I just know.
Yeah.
It's like trying to redo the Goonies or
Or making a sequel 50 years later.
yes, with all the kids or something. There was some
Right.
other movie I had in my head too that was really funny. Sandlot. Please don't.
Yeah, please don't touch that.
No.
Don't touch Major League either.
Yeah, no, it's just like these funny, good movies that people just don't care about. That's just my rant about it. But
Let's get back on track here.
yeah, so
Talk about remakes and reboots and stuff.
that's what we've been talking about, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Well, one of the movies you brought up was It. You
Yeah.
know, they redid it, or they remade it, and the child, like you said, the child actors made the first one, but the second one, I'm sorry, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but I don't know why he let them go ahead and do that. It was horrible. The ending with spoilers with the fucking alien-looking thing. It's just, dude, really.
Well, if anybody who's a big Stephen King fan, and Sam, again, I'm gonna give a shout out to Sam for this. He was a huge Stephen King fan. He had read all the books, whatever. We talked about 1408 in one of our podcasts. We talked about it. We've always talked about a lot of these movies, and I never knew this because I didn't read the books. But the original character that is supposed to be it, spoiler alert, he is a cosmic spider that comes from a different planet. So in the original one, he plays a spider. That's original. That stays true to the roots from Stephen King's book. This one, now I get it. He can take the form and shape of anything. That's the whole point of what he does, and he just uses a spider. But in reality, it's supposed to be a spider from the books. That ties in with the Dark Tower and everything else, or whatever. That pissed me off too about the movie. Now, what did I think the new movies were terrible? No, I think It 1 and 2 were great for what they redid. Is it better than the original? No. Sorry, it's never going to beat the original. Was the first movie really did? It was actually done superb. I think the first movie was great. I was like, wow, my expectations are set really good for this movie now. The second one down did let me down a little bit. It, as a whole, the guy that played Pennywise, he did a great job.
Yeah.
He played the character awesome. Some of the kill scenes and some of the stuff they did, I was like, man, this actually blew my mind. Like the first one, what happened in the sewer, way different than the original one. And who played the original It? I can't remember. He plays in Home Alone.
Curry.
Tim Curry, right? Badass It. Very hard to replace Tim Curry as the original It or whatever for that time period. But yeah, he did a great job. I can't remember who played the new It or whatever. But
I can't even spell his last name. Bill Skagar.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So He did a phenomenal job, and actually I saw a lot of people, not this year but following years, play dress up as It, with the balloons and all that stuff. So
hell, they were putting balloons leaving balloons in sewers just randomly around the U.S. before the movie came out.
Oh, really? Were they?
Yeah, people were just buying balloons just to put them over a sewer, to freak people out.
That's hilarious.
Which is great, See, I love the power that movies and music have on people they do shit like that. Even a few years ago, I don't know if you remember. I think it was a few years ago. People were dressing up as clowns and just sitting there in people's neighborhoods, standing there, not doing nothing, just scaring the shit out of people.
I remember that. I remember there's clowns chasing people or going on people's front porches. I remember there's like a big movement on not just YouTube, but trying to catch these people.
Yeah,
I think they actually did end up catching a couple of people, like the police did or something. But they said they're just spooking people. They didn't get. I don't think anything actually happened to these people. But they're trying to just freak people out or whatever.
Right.
And it started like a
movement,
like a movement, or what do they call it?
The cult?
No, not a cult, but whatever. Viral. That's the word I'm looking for. Something viral that started happening that people gets contagious. So, but yeah, man, in this day and age, I'm ready for something new. And it's like, out of anything that could happen this year, I thought 2020, if anything was going to happen, like with being stuck inside with the pandemic, between video games and stuff. It's like I never thought I'd get bored of video games, and it's like I'm not bored, but it's like I need other things to entertain me.
You need a new outlet,
right? And it's like now that movies aren't there, and here's something that's funny to talk about. That's not even just about the reboots and all that stuff. It's like TV shows have become like movies to me with their storylines and their backstories and all that stuff. I'm actually getting more entertainment out of watching series of TV shows than I have of movies, which has never been the case with me. It's been very one-off things for like that. Now it's like I'm more involved with TV shows than I am movies, which is it's flip-flopped. I don't know if it's about you or just a time era, but it's like I feel like that's happened with a lot of people nowadays, and it's probably because movies aren't what they used to be. They weren't worth a shit half the time.
Right.
So,
and you're paying $12 per ticket, not counting concessions.
Actually,
and if you bring somebody with you, you're spending almost upwards of $50 to watch a 2.5 hour movie.
Ticket prices because of the pandemic they went up.
Right,
they're going up now.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of being an adult movie being $12, I think it's now $15 for adult.
I'll stay home and watch it, or get it Amazon Prime when it comes out. You could buy the damn movie from Amazon for $15.
I know, but it's like there's a feeling I get going to movie theaters, and I like it. Actually, the last movie I went and saw, like I said, was Tenet. When I went in there, me and Brandon went and saw it or whatever. Brandon's actually my buddy, if anybody wants to know. They used to be on my other podcast. He
do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. He actually might make some appearances on this podcast with us, but he and me went and saw Tenet. There was only 2 other people in the movie theater beside us, right? Wow. And they're like literally right next to us. They weren't the 6 feet apart social distance, but we watched the movie.
Yeah,
dude, it was great. I'm not saying I don't miss people being in movies because I really don't, but I miss being at the theater. It's like after it was over, it's like, dude, I told him it's like, I kind of want to watch another one, because it's the first time I've been in a movie theater in 9 months, 10 months. Right. So it's like this is a weird feeling to me being back here. Maybe they'll bring in drive-in movies because actually I think that would be cool.
Oh hell yeah!
I've actually seen Colorado and a couple other places actually start doing this.
Actually, Walmart is actually doing it. A lot of Walmarts now are opening drive-ins in their parking lots. They're converting their parking lots to drive-ins.
Really?
Yeah, some of them are. Yeah,
I've never heard of that, and
I forgot where I read it at. They were doing that, and I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. You think about Walmart parking lots are fucking huge, and a lot of them are not being used because it's either too far away from the store, the front door, or whatever like that. But they're actually converting them. I was like,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's actually really good. I mean, I remember we posted that thing. There's that one doing that movie in a boat. Yeah. It's kind of weird to me, but actually it's cool, kind of different. Like, hey, you go sit on like a huge cruise line boat or something and watch a movie that's being, broadcasted.
The fucking Jaws thing. People talk about have a wave pool with a bunch of people in floaties or whatever and watch fucking Jaws. Not just Jaws, any movie. That'd be fucking comfortable as hell. Yeah, it'd be kind of bitch to get up and get some food or whatever, but still, or people getting cramps because they're eating and then they go swimming.
The only cool thing I'll say about the whole thing is, and I'm sure you know where I'm gonna go with this, is you could drink and piss in the pool and you don't have to miss a part in the movie.
You have to get up.
So I mean, I didn't think about that, but that's like one of my biggest things. It's like over the years, and I know there's a good movie coming out I want to see.
Yeah.
Dude.
I'm not leaving.
It's
Yeah.
not just I'm not leaving. I don't bring a soda in with me or anything
okay.
because I don't want to. I'll take a fat pee before I go in, and it's like I'm not missing this, and because I've done that too many times, and it's
Right.
like I don't want to miss it. So there is no soda. I'll have some popcorn or something.
Right.
You know, it's another thing. It's like I don't eat popcorn, watch movies. I don't know how many families sit at home and actually brew up some, or not brew up, but like microwave some
Pop up,
popcorn.
yeah.
And sit down and watch a flick. You know, it's like I usually just grab a soda or some snacks or something that's easy. It's like not that I don't want popcorn. It's like I just don't think about. Now when I go to the movie theater, we always get some popcorn.
Yeah.
I
Well,
d-
it's just one of the things that comes with it, you know. And if you think too that when you buy your popcorn, you sit down. You know, half the time you're early because you want to catch the stuff, the previews, the stuff that goes on. And then by the time the movie starts, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have some soda. For me, I don't usually have some soda left, but you know, whatever. But that's how it is. You know, you have your snack, and right before the movie, and the movie starts, you got nothing.
Right.
You know, it's like what the hell.
And it's like that. And the thing about it now, it's like, dude, I miss just listening to people scoop other bags and like making noise during the movie. It's like, yeah, I want people to be quiet when I watch the movie,
Right.
but it's like,
Next time-
when we're in dead silence in the movie, the last one I saw, it's like, dude, there was no one like opening Reese's bags and like, you know, whispering and doing shit.
And
It's
you
like,
smell something that they don't sell at the concession stand because somebody snuck it in.
dude,
Next time we watch a movie, I'll throw M&Ms at you, make you feel better.
Yeah. One time, and I'll never forget this, and I don't know how this even happened. This
Oh, wow.
guy brought in like extra large pizza from like Emo's. Like
How
two
the
of
fuck
them.
did you get that in?
He had two of them. He just walked
shit.
right in. I guess no one said anything to him. I don't
Right.
know where it came from. I'm like, dude, I smell pizza. And I looked over
Yeah.
and this guy's had an Emo's box of pizza. I'm like, where the fuck did Emo's come from, right?
I got you. I got
St.
you.
Louis thing, and
Yeah.
no one's know Emo's pizza.
Square beyond compared.
Yeah, not anymore. Now it's cardboard.
Yeah. I got you one better. We were watching something in Ohio, and just normally watching a movie. Next thing you know, I get hit in the head with a wrapper. I turn around. I'm like, I picked it up and go, who the fuck's eating McDonald's?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And the people just laughing behind me. I'm like, seriously, people?
Well, I mean, I get it. People sneak in soda and food.
I've
in
done
their
it
purse.
too, so I can't complain.
No, I mean, we.
I'm just saying, it's just
mean, before I go see a movie, I always go to Walgreens or CVS and
The dollar store, dude.
dollar store and grab a bunch of bunch of candy, and then we put it, you know, pockets or purse or whatever
Yeah.
for the women. And but I don't mind. So like again, I don't mind going to a movie and paying money they have for a movie. If it's a good movie, it's going to be entertainment. It's to me, it's like it's not even throwaway. It's just like. It's like I'm happy to pay to go see this and actually pay for stuff to keep these people running, to support the people that are working there, and they have the movies still be there. That's what I want.
Right.
It's like it's a form of entertainment that I grew up as a kid. I don't want to go away. I just like I didn't want Blockbuster to go away and things like that. What people
Oh,
miss
man,
to talk about,
Blockbuster.
right? Now we got V-Stock that I brought you to or whatever, and it's cool, but it's still not Blockbuster. It's still not the same touch and feel that we had as a kid. But it's like you get a little bit of nostalgia with it. It's like I don't want movies to disappear. I
Yeah.
guess that's what I'm in. I mean, movie theaters. Sorry, it's like I feel like we're on the verge of like seeing like those things go to dust, and like our kids growing up, and it's like, what's a movie theater?
Yeah.
What not Netflix.
A lot
or
of kids
Hulu?
nowadays, like with payphones. When payphones went away, you see one in a movie, it's like, oh god, I remember those. And now it's like you never see payphone anymore.
I see them once in a blue moon pop up once in a while, like around like gas stations or random areas in like places you like even around St.
Yeah,
Louis. But
it's still you just even cell phones. Kids nowadays don't know what it's like to not have a cell phone,
yes,
which is very sad.
we live in an era and time where people didn't realize, especially kids nowadays, are very privileged in the way where if you can go on an app on Fandango and book your seats and there is no line waiting or anything. It's the same
Exactly.
thing like waiting in line to get the newest music album that came out, the
Yep.
newest movie, the newest video game.
That was part of the fun. Was waiting in the line to get that fucking CD when it came out.
I mean, that's why people like Black Friday. I mean, again, I'm going to rehash this back to Sam. It's like me and Sam, we always wanted to do a Black Friday together, but we don't do that. So, like, our Black Friday to us was going, and Brandon too, going to the mall on the week of Christmas because we liked the chaos, we liked what was going on, and it was cool to go window shopping
Yeah.
and see things that you wouldn't normally buy or see
And the
online.
deals, man. The
Right. It's
deals.
like I would go there I wouldn't go there actually going there to buy something. I would go to the window shop and people watch and just the
you're
Christmas.
more at.
Yeah, be a mall, right? And just a Christmas feel, right? I
Yeah.
like the Christmas feel
Yeah.
going to the mall. I mean, doing
Christmas
it
is
to
chaos.
Yes, and it was just something that always brings back the older days of being when I was a kid, going to the mall with my mom, picking out presents that I want that I wouldn't know if I was getting or not, just being around stuff and
Making sure you were good.
Oh, it was always good.
My ass.
That's not what Santa said. I always got my presents. So
Yeah, that's true. Brat.
yeah.
Spoiled little shit.
Yeah. So in the day, those kind of things, like, I don't want to go as. Same thing with the movie feel. It's like, even when we go to the mall and do stuff and be mall rats, or you want to call us, it's like, I would go there just to have a good time and just enjoy it. And it's like those kind of things are lost on this generation. And what I'm saying about the kids nowadays is, when you have this convenience to pre-order and buy everything, and everything's digital, and you get whatever you want, brought to your house.
Even I'll go one little further. I don't want to interrupt you. Getting their food handed to them by Grubhub and DoorDash and shit like that.
There is some great things for that, like in time in need of pandemic or things that's going on in the world,
fine.
Whatever.
But these kids don't know what it's like to wait in line or wait patiently.
Dude, my favorite thing about the weekend was getting my friends, packing my car, going to get a movie and a video game at Blockbuster, getting them stoned off my ass, and maybe going to get some fucking Jack in the Box. That was the highlight of my week, and hanging out with my friends and just chilling in our basement, right?
No wonder you're not fat, dude. What the fuck?
Well, I mean,
what's my problem?
I guess
you went to Jack in the Box. I went to Jack in the Box, McDonald's, and Arby's.
No, you went to Taco Bell.
And Taco Bell. And Pizza Hut.
Yeah. But I mean, the point of it is, it's like that part of like being a kid. It's like, I hope my kids and your kids or whoever else is listening to this, like, they still get to enjoy some type of form of that. Like, cool. I know Netflix and chill is a great thing to do. If you're hooking up with a girl or just hanging out with friends, whatever you want to call it, is a great thing. I'm not going to hate on it, because I love it. I do love being able to sit down and just pick up a movie whenever I want. But I still want to have both options. I don't want to have just one. It's like the convenience thing is great, but it gets old to a point where you lose touch with not just your friends, but the idea of going out in the real world and experiencing things outside of your safe zone and your bubble. That's just what it is. And especially when you're a kid, like I was saying, like, the highlight of my weekend was going to get movies and do that kind of stuff and just hang out with my friends. It's like that kind of stuff's going to go under, it's not going to be a common thing that people do anymore. It's our generation, right? It's a generational thing, I think. Yeah. Unless it's one of those things that come back every 20 years, like, like styles and music. I
think once it goes away, it's never coming back.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. And it's like, the last Blockbuster now, they had it in Alaska or whatever. It's now turned into an Airbnb. Did you know that? So it's actually a really cool idea. And the idea is now you can walk into the place, you rent the whole Blockbuster, you can pick from any movie, video game, whatever you want. They got popcorn, bathroom, whatever. And they got a bed, you sit down, you can pop in movies and chill and watch whatever and spend the night, kitchen, everything.
Yeah, okay.
That was, to me, that was a really good idea. It's like, but it's not for the young kids. It's for our generation, the people that want to hold on to it.
The ones that you want to get away from the kids.
Right, or want to get away from kids or have a cool night. That's cool. That was cool to me. It's like, hey, we can go to the store and pick out any movie we want. It's like, you don't have to go. To me, the best part of, and why I made this, this whole analogy of the whole thing, it's like going to the mall and picking things out. I miss going to Blockbuster and picking my movie out, taking hours to go through the movies, read them. I didn't want to just go and have a list, because the funny part about it is you go on Netflix, and I think everybody's kind of guilty of this, and you spend hours sitting there like, what kind of movie you want to watch? Oh, I don't want to watch this. And you keep flicking through stuff. It's like, I actually enjoy going to browse and look at the movies and read them. I mean, I'm sure you're the same way.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to sit there. And pretty much our Saturday night consists of, Netflix, there's 500,000 movies on here. I don't want to watch one of them. It's like, what the hell? Exactly.
And in a moment, one movie comes out, or a Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and everybody's talking about it, went viral. You watch it, and then you're back to the same old stuff. Like, a good TV show comes out. It's usually a TV show. It's not usually a movie. So They got the new 1 through 10 on Netflix. It's like number 1 you usually watch, and it's good. Like the Queens of Gambit I just watched, or whatever. Really great show. Watched it, and Ben watched it in 2 days. And because we couldn't stop watching because there was nothing else on TV to watch, or movie wise. So we watched it, and it's like, back to square one. We do. Here's my problem, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem. Is I will tend to go back to things I'm comfortable watching, and I'll rewatch the same shows I've rewatched 35 times. And to attest to this is another good thing, and I'll throw out to Sam again, is he brought this point to me, because I always watch South Park, and it was something we bonded on, was I can put a South Park episode on, or like an episode of Dexter or Breaking Bad or just something, whatever I like to watch. And it's like it's good background noise. Like if I'm busy doing stuff, I can and then I can whenever I stop doing it, I can tune in. I can left off where I was watching, and I don't care because I've seen it a million times, but it's always still relevant and good to me. That's something that I do a lot with a lot of movies that I'm comfortable with and doing stuff.
I mean, that's perfect. I mean, there's a lot of times I'll like be cleaning up my studio, then I'll put something like Animal House in the background, and I'm word for word going along with it. You know, like I know it's still there, so that I still remember everything. One thing I started to do with my friend Kelly, she lives in Pennsylvania, is we'll both watch a movie on Netflix. She'll play it at the same time I play it at my house, and then we'll either Google Duo or even text through it and watch it at the same time. Kind of like it's kind of like a date kind of thing, but it's watching it in two different states.
So funny that you bring that up. Me, Brian, and Sam used to always. Now this is before the internet was huge and big or whatever. We would get on like when we were kids, like high school days. We would get a YouTube video or a movie up, and this is before they had a bunch of applications. And we'd be like, "Hey, 3, 2, 1, count down, watch it together." And then we would laugh and review or pause it at certain spots. And I still do that with them now. We watch stuff, but they actually came out with this app. Or this, I don't know if it's an app, but maybe it's just a web client on the internet. You can go on and host a movie.
Yeah, Facebook has that. Facebook,
like a watch party.
Yeah, watch party. Yeah,
right. There's actually a thing called Watch Party. I think that's where they came up with the idea. Maybe they bought Watch Party for Facebook or whatever. And you can all join the group and watch a movie together.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's something I actually do and think is actually really cool that you can do with friends around the world. So it's like something cool to do. I think you could do that.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like meeting up with a friend at the movie theater, and sometimes we'll eat, bring us snacks with us or whatever, and just watch the fucking movie together. Shoot.
Well, in this day and age, there should be things like that, and I'm glad they do have stuff like that because you always wonder, like, hey, why can't someone just make something like this? And then boom, someone makes it, and it's like, finally, what took so long for this to happen?
Well, see, there's so many ideas in the world. There's trillions and squillions of ideas that came along. It's just. Some people just don't have the know-how to make it come to fruition, and that's the hard part. That's what sucks sometimes is because you don't know what to do to make this happen. There's great people, engineers, and even like technology people such like you and shit. I didn't know how to do certain things, but I had the idea to do things, and you said, okay, let me see what I can do, and then you worked it out. And that's what I think is really great with some companies and technology based companies that they have these like Disney Imagineers come up with the idea and people who can actually make it happen. And I am very envious of some people like that because there's so many times I just want to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to draw this tattoo. I draw it. It looks like a fucking kindergartner with Down syndrome drew it. But my friend of mine would just draw it up like it's nothing. I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome. So it's just one of those things that it's great to have friends and family to have, share your vision in a way. I guess I'm going to say. Because, like I said, me and you are huge movie buffs. We've seen movies before. I got you into Freddy versus Jason the first time, a long ass time ago. And it's just, I miss that too. Just having fun, having the family over, or even friends over, and just chilling, 2020 sucks so fucking bad right now. It's ridiculous, There's so much. I guess I'm feeling a little Jack Torrance from The Shining here of cabin fever. I see the same four walls every fucking day. I get up, I take a shower, I get dressed, let the dog out, eat breakfast, do work.
The routine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same routine every fucking day. That's why I wanted to, do this podcast over here today because it's, four different walls. I get to see something else. I don't know if you notice I've been looking around, see what else you've added.
It is definitely the 2020 feel has ruined the vibes of even just being home watching a good movie with friends or doing stuff. It's still great to do, but at the same time, there's not much to do. So, like, taking away movies from us, is why I'm so, I guess, butthurt, I guess, about a lot of stuff because there's not much to do in 2020 besides sit in your house. And, that's why video games are so popular right now. Huh?
Sit down in your house and be butthurt?
Yeah, whatever. I'm just, my point is, it's like, it's one of those things that, people, that's a lot of people look forward to that. And it brings some happiness in what's going on. And it's a little thing to get together with the family and a reason to get together or whatever. And it's like, again, I don't watch TV a lot. but I watch movies, right? And because TV to me nowadays is just garbage. There's a lot of garbage shit that they put on there.
I agree.
Even reality TV. There's a couple good reality shows I will watch, but most of them I won't watch. Reality TV at one point was a cool thing, and then when everything turned into reality, it turned me off.
Because you have so many of them. Like going back to we were talking like with movies. There are so many times you can watch The Bachelorette, or so many times you can watch The Masked Singer, or the what's the other one that's big now?
American Idol, American
Thank you.
Singer,
What fucking season are they on American Idol? How many fucking times are you going to find somebody who can sing like fucking Kelly Clarkson?
I don't know,
Seriously.
but I get it. It does help people get out there. But it's like we got YouTube, we got social media. There's different forms of things that people they go viral off. But it's a show. People enjoy it. They whatever. Teach their own, right?
I get that.
People like what they like.
But it's just I hate this guy with a passion. And I call him a girl still. Justin Bieber, he got big off YouTube. Okay,
We got big because Usher found him.
because
on
Usher
YouTube.
Usher found him on YouTube. I give him power for that, but he's a whiny bitch anyway. But it's just that's not. I can't say it's not talent. It's just not a big thing that a lot of people can sing because everybody and their mother can sing. Find someone who has a talent. Find a handicapped kid who's got one arm who could shred like fucking Eddie Van Halen. That's fucking talent,
Right.
He went against the grain. He went against everything and made himself, play guitar and shit like that.
Yeah.
That to me is a major talent. There's even a guy I seen on YouTube who plays guitar with his feet because he has no arms, and he plays like fucking really, really badass guitar.
Yeah.
People don't give people like that credit.
Well, I mean, again,
It's just he's not pretty enough. You got to have the person that looks good with an evening gown dress on, who the big fake smile on her face, who behind the scenes she shoots up heroin. She looks pretty enough. Okay, we'll put her on TV.
yeah. I mean, I get it. I see your point, right? Not everybody gets the limelight they should that are extremely talented. And then in this day and age, there should be more recognition for people that have that kind of stuff. What's it called? It's just one of those things where I don't think everybody can. There's a reason why. What's my point here? There's a reason why not everybody gets famous, right? Because it's supposed to be the 1% that gets to be a singer, and the 1% that gets to be a Hollywood actor. And the reality is, if you're thinking about it, a lot of those people get too much praise, and there is a following with people that are obsessed with actors and musicians. And yeah, a lot of them are good people, and a lot of them are very extremely talented. But in the day, they're no one to worship. I mean, they're nothing that's out of the ordinary. Like, for example, if I saw Brad Pitt in public, yeah, would I be a little shocked or actor, whatever you want to call it, where people get like speechless or whatever? Starstruck. Would I be like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my shit over this? And it's like, no, right? And it's like, at the end of the day, it would be cool to see him, but it's like I'm not gonna go bow at his feet and worship this person like he's the greatest person in the world, right? It's like he's an actor, he has a job, he does something, and he's good at it. That's great.
You get my money when I saw Interview with the Vampire. That's all you get.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, dude, it's like I don't see the correlation of why people get obsessed with it, but at the same time, it's like, again, teach their own. There's people that are into different things, but I think that is one weird thing that as a society that we do. It's like I love actors. I like Keanu Reeves. I'm going to tell you right now. It's like if I saw him, that probably would be someone maybe I would get a little starstruck about. But then in the day, they're just normal people like you and me, right? There's nothing that's crazy about them. Same thing with athletes and everything else. There's a reason why I think right now that there's a lot of hate in Hollywood. If we're going to talk about movies and people, it's like because there's actors and actresses getting involved in things they shouldn't be involved in or things they should be involved in that they don't get involved in, and that's the problem. The power of social media. There's just too many opinions and things going on nowadays. I've actually lost a lot of respect for a lot of people that I actually really liked, and I've kind of got to the point now. It's like I just don't care what these people think anymore. Right? They're just movies. They just make movies for me nowadays.
It's going along the line with that. The Ricky Gervais thing.
Ricky Gervais.
It was the last year before on the Oscars.
Yeah.
Get up. Say your thank yous. Get the fuck out. We don't care what your cause is. We don't care what this is or, whatever. Just get your shit and go. Mm-hmm. Ever since he did that, I'm like, that dude's fucking awesome. I seen him in a few things before. I didn't think he was that bad. Then I seen him do that, and I'm just like, this dude's got the truth. This motherfucker's spitting.
Oh yeah, and again, he's a comedian, so
He got away with it.
Most comedians can speak the truth and speak their mind, and people find it funny, and they can get away with things. Luckily, he did, because obviously there a lot of people probably wanted him canceled after he said something like that.
Right.
But he did make a great point. And again, I don't have any problem with people going to the Oscars and making speeches about anything, like who they want to thank or whatever. Yeah. But when it becomes political or anything else, it's like, just shut the fuck up. Because like, if you're not here to thank your family, the people who help you create the show, the people behind the scenes, actual like people like for charities or actual real things that are like, doing things.
Even
for
the religious people, if you don't want to thank Buddha or God or whatever,
thank God or whatever, like all this stuff's great. But when you start talking about things like, if they bring in Donald Trump or anything else, Biden or anything else, whoever you vote for, whatever you like, it's like, dude, leave that stuff at home. Yeah, people.
We don't care.
I think people are like, well, this is their voice, this is their platform, and this is when the time you use it. It's like you have a platform anywhere you're at. Like if you're a mega star, you could go in a fucking Walmart and get on a megaphone, and people will record you, and it's going to go viral.
Brad Pitt. I hate Trump. You can do that too.
Right, and they can use it for a good cause. And I get why people say it's like, with the athletes and all that kind of stuff. And I don't even want to go down that road because it's a lot of negativity, and I don't want to talk about negative shit. But it's like, to me, that actually ruined the Oscars for me. I won't watch it no more. I won't watch the Emmys, the Grammys, Oscars, any of that stuff, because it's all the same crap, right? People bitching about people that should have won awards because of their color or their race or because of their gender, and not because they're a good actor or not because they're a good singer or whatever. It's like, you give it to the people who deserved it, and that's just the way it goes. It's always been that way. Don't force things, don't do it. I don't like that. And that's another thing that's ruined movies for me, because, again, they're putting in people that don't belong in places for actors or actresses. Not saying these people aren't good actors and actresses, but I'm not going to put a 7-foot man into a role that is made for a 3-foot person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, I don't know how else to put it. It's like, you just don't do that.
The Undertaker is going to be the lollipop king.
Well, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only way I can put it without making people get too sensitive, butthurt if I said something else about it, right? Yeah. So that's just how I feel about it. But
well, if you think about it, too, a lot of these, like look at Leo. It took him forever to get a fucking Oscar. Mm-hmm. Is it his bad acting? Maybe. Is it the role he was in? Maybe. Is it how he delivered and all this other shit? We don't know. He finally won one after so many years of, he should have won for Titanic. He should have won for this. He should have. Maybe he wasn't that fucking good. Mm-hmm. Seriously. Or maybe it was the Academy.
I will say, he is one exception to the rule where he is that good of actor, in my opinion. He should have won a bunch of Grammys for a lot of movies.
But still.
Right, but there is people, like you're saying in that case, that don't deserve it, that win it off of that kind of movement shit. Yeah. And it's like, dude, the PC stuff. And it's like, please, you're literally making people not want to watch these things. And I look forward to because, again, I don't worship actors and actresses, but I like to watch that kind of stuff because I'm in the movies. And it's like, oh, cool, see these won awards, or the music won awards, and all the talented stuff that people that's like don't look into, that don't understand that, hey, the music makes a good movie. Do you not notice that kind of stuff? Some people don't. It goes unnoticed. It's just they think about the actors and actresses. They didn't forget about all the background stuff. The people do the special effects, all the other stuff.
See, that going along the same lines is, if you think about it, why doesn't the casting director or the casting person get an award? They're the ones that hired so-and-so to do this so-and-so part. They saw something like Leo was. They saw something in Leo and said, I think he would be a good Jack. And then look what happened. The movie blew up. Mm-hmm. Look at, those kind of people. They don't get the recognition they deserve.
I think I've heard this before.
Probably me.
And you probably know it's probably the same thing with a lot of the awards that people just don't get. It's a word that they share with everybody, right? Yeah. The director probably shares that with them and says, hey, I couldn't have done this without so-and-so. This is a shared award. This is both of ours, right? Now, it might be entitled to him, but some people that are the good actors and actresses or the people that are doing it, they share it with everybody else. You always notice, like, a good actor will always say, hey, this isn't just about me. I couldn't have done this without the 4,000 crew members that helped me do this. Right. They made me the star that I am in the movie. Yeah, I acted, but they did all the shit that made it cool.
Right.
That kind of stuff, I think a lot of people appreciate, and even though they're not getting the award or whatever. Again, I'm gonna use Keanu Reeves as an example. It's like, dude, when he does movies, like he's really tight knit with.
He's humble.
with all the crew members, all the people. So they all love working with Keanu Reeves. When he's on set, they're all excited because he hangs out with everybody, knows everybody's names, whatever. He buys them lunch and dinner. Dude, at one of the movies, after he got done, he bought everybody a fucking car and like a Harley or something. I can't remember what it was or something like that. Yeah, you might know what I'm talking about. And it's like, dude, I wish more people, he's like, because he's a good people person, why can't people appreciate it? It's like, don't be like Christian Bale and be like, I'm Christian Bale, and yell at everybody on set and like feel like you're entitled. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think he did at Batman or something like that.
Did you hear what George Clooney did last year for Christmas?
No.
He had a, what do you call it, $14 million dinner. Mm-hmm. What he did was he invited 14 of his closest friends to dinner one night. I forgot exactly where, somewhere in Hollywood, and gave them all a briefcase. It all each one of them got $1 million in cash from George Clooney. I'm like, dude, that's like the bestest friend like ever. I mean, money's not everything.
I was hoping you were going to say that he gave him a briefcase and all of them had like a clue and they had like go around and like look at some mystery thing to figure something out to find like a present or do something. That would have been cool.
Well, it's like $14 million. What is this? It was Ocean's 14? I mean, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, George Clooney's one of those guys that probably every movie's in, he probably gets $30 to $40 million per
plus,
movie.
Yeah,
you know,
shit. But it's so stuff like that. You hear humble actors, or some of them are really just like you and me. Mm-hmm. I saw a thing going on your buddy Keanu Reeves. He saw a woman's car broke down on the side of the road one time.
I wish he was my buddy.
What kind of buddy? buddy. Some woman's car was broke down on the side of the car, so he pulled over, said, "Do you need some help?" She said, "Yeah, I think I got a flat or something like that." He changed the flat for her, and he asked her, where is she in a hurry? She's like, "Yeah, I have an audition for this show or whatever." So he fixed the tire up and said she's on her way. And now the lady's like a famous black actress. I can't think of the name of her. She was in Ma. I think that was called, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Some actors are down to earth like everybody else.
While we're still on the subject, and I could talk about him all day, and I'll shut up after this.
What, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah,
your boyfriend.
Yeah, my boyfriend. He actually sat down with a homeless person, hung out with some homeless person all day long.
And bought him clothes and lunch and everything else.
Yep. So he said he hung out, and he said he had like really cool stories, yada yada. Gave him money, whatever, to get a place to go like hang out and do whatever. And it's like, dude, that's awesome. Like, when you make this kind of money and you're that kind of person, it's like, the dude rides the subway every day. He doesn't even own a car, I don't think, anymore.
No, I don't think he ever did.
And he's like, he's a good person. He doesn't forget where he came from. I think a lot of that happens when
you forget where you come from. Yeah.
Well, and again, this day and age with actors and people, it's like the older generation, they grew up like this. Now people with social media and all this stuff, not saying everybody, there is good young and older actors still. The people that idolize these people and what they do and what they dress and what they eat and do all this stuff all day, it becomes a obsession, and it's not reality for most people. It's not even probably mostly reality for them. It's probably fake shit they put on there all day long, and they have a social media, person that runs their stuff for them.
Yeah.
It's not real life for half the time. And it's like, it's like the only other people you could probably live and breathe that kind of stuff is like people that are like the Kardashians or whatever, because they live and breathe being media. Models and beauty and stuff. It's like, okay, if that's your job and that's what you do, makes sense. But if you're an actor and actress, you don't have to live and breathe that kind of limelight. It's like you can be a normal human being and people be like, hey, he's normal, good. Like I appreciate that and being a normal person. So
see, with Hollywood nowadays, it's you can be a humble person like that. But like back in the day, back in the 30s and 40s, Hollywood ran your life. They owned you. Like you were in a big Paramount picture. Paramount owned your ass. There's an actor named Rock Hudson. Nobody knew for the longest time he was gay. They had him out in public with his wife, quote unquote, kids and all this other shit. They didn't want people to know he's gay because once people found out he was gay, he was chastised. Because especially back in the 30s and 40s, and stuff like that. People didn't know people's dark side because Hollywood owned your ass and didn't want it out. Because if you, like I said, you did a movie for Paramount, they found out you were gay, that didn't just chastise you, that chastised Paramount for hiring you and being around, stuff like that. So nowadays, it's great to see people like that. And I feel bad for those people back in the day because they had to go through all that shit,
There was rumors, and I remember hearing people say that, like, back in the day...
You were gay, yes, they're true.
Yes, that's still true to this day.
Silly.
It's not like it's not public, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's all good.
The point I'm making is, I remember, and it's kind of true to this day with a lot of things, is when you are signed for a job, right, the freedom of speech and the freedom of what you can do is still there, but it's not. There's no freedom from consequences. So
Right.
they might say you can be openly about whatever you want to be, like what you're saying with this guy. He can say that he's, but if the people find out he is, because back then that's just the way things rolled back then. Well, you're getting fired. So that's probably why there was such a big movement in Hollywood and a lot of the stuff and the crap that goes on nowadays to
The
be
Me
like
Too movement and shit.
yeah, and I get it. Like, well, yeah, Me Too's a little different, but it's like there's a movement for so many different things because of these reasons why the people be accepting. And I agree, there should be a lot of acceptance with all this stuff, but that's really wrong in Hollywood for them to do that. But that happens today, right?
Yeah.
You got to be retarded not to know that happens. It happens at private businesses, private jobs, everywhere.
Well,
Everybody.
For example, WWE.
Yeah.
I went to high school with Randy Orton. We were in the same grade together. We graduated. Da, da, da. I've seen him so many times afterwards, and once he got signed to WWE, and he was a complete dick. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? You know, I could outsmoke you. I could kick your ass. And I could probably, I don't know if I could now or not. He probably tried to do wrestling on me, but still, and he told me one
Wrestling's
time,
fake.
yeah, it's very fake. It's to me, damn, it's real. That he told me that he was paid to do that. He was paid to be the asshole Randy Orton because that's how his character. People saw him out in public. That's how his character was. That's how Vince McMahon wanted to him perceived, and that's why a lot of people didn't like him.
So he's always in character.
Yeah, so he was always in character, no matter if he was a face or a heel, whatever he was at the time. That's how he acted out in public.
So, little funny side note talking about that is an always in character. A lot of people.
Tall, muscly men.
Yeah.
Speedos.
Yes. What people don't know is that Jim Carrey
Yes.
was the reason he went insane and the reason he went off on his whole tangent and like thing that where he's shutting people out and acting crazy was because I don't know if you guys watched the documentary, if anybody knows this, but he was always in character. So not was he could never just be himself, be Jim Carrey. He was always had to be, Ace Ventura or one of his characters, and out in public wherever he was, he could never just be himself. And he said since like he was a kid, the reason he was so good at faces and doing all this stuff is he would sit in front of the mirror and do faces all day and just like practice things and do stuff to make people laugh and just be a good actor because that's what he wanted to be. But it got to a point where it consumed his life so much that he couldn't go anywhere without having to play that guy. So he wanted to start being normal, and I think it could be Hollywood maybe do this, maybe not. He got sick of it. So he just wanted to blow up and everybody to get away from me. It's kind of like when Britney Spears shaved her head and said, everybody get away from her. Right? Or Dave Chappelle went to Africa for everybody to get away from him for a year because he needed to go somewhere where no one knew where the fuck he was.
Right.
I don't understand it, but I understand it to the point where if I was in this position, I would be like, what? Like, I wouldn't want that either. Like Dave Chappelle said it best. He's like, the last straw is when I went to Disney World and Mickey Mouse came up and my daughter's about to hug him, and he's like, "Hey, Dave Chappelle, I'm Rick James, bitch." And he's like, "I uppercutted Mickey right in the stomach." And he's like, we left Disney. I mean, maybe he didn't really do that. Maybe he said he was going to do it, but he's like, I can't go anywhere. Can't go to Disney World without someone saying some lines from, his show. So it's like, that would get old real quick.
Couch, nigga.
Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, totally, dude. I mean, I don't know how it is because I'm not that person, but I feel I would be like that too. I'm like, dude, I was a character in a movie once. I'm me right now. Mm-hmm. If you want Ace Ventura's autograph, go find Ace Ventura. I'm Jim Carrey right now, or whatever. That kind of shit. It's just people can't separate reality sometimes with fictional reality. Mm-hmm. It's just that's why I mean, it's not me. This is not my thing, and I'm not trying to diss anybody on this. But like all the Trekkies and the Star Wars freaks. They live Star Wars. They have the Jedi is now a religion. I don't know if you knew about that.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't want
being
to know
a Jedi is a part of religion, or the Trekkies who speak Klingon. So it's like they take it very, very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's I can't say it's sad because it's not me. It's not my thing. But it's just like I look at it. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not that guy, that kind of stuff.
Well, and again, teach their own, whatever people are into. It's like people that LARP and do everything else. People in live action role play or whatever that do whatever with Civil War stuff or just with like video games or whatever they're into. Again, I'm not going to knock it because I'm not into it, and I really don't care what people do with it as long as they don't try to make me do it. So it's like don't make
to
me
the dark side, Randy.
Yeah. The point I'm making is it's like I get your point what you're making, and again, it's one of those things. It's not for me, but I don't see how people are obsessed with it. But it's like I'm really into South Park, so people probably don't get why I like to watch South Park, and why I'm an adult who's 30 something. They grew up with them, and I you know have
Fuck you guys. That's why.
like figurines or whatever else of them. So to me,
It's your thing.
it's my thing, right? I think it's okay. You know, when I was younger and I was closed-minded, I never got that. It's like, I'll make one more point with Sam in this, is Sam opened my mind up more about music. And one of the things he told me was, because one day I made fun of him for liking Imagine Dragons or something like that, because I don't like that band at all. But, you know, he likes all genres of music and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, and the way he explained it to me, it's like, you know, you're being closed-minded and doing this and yada yada. But it's the same thing. It's like I don't like country music. But now at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's not for me, and I don't care. And it's like I used to be hateful to people that was like, oh, you like country music? Like you're, you know what? I would say something about them. It's like,
Billy.
yeah, whatever. And it's like, why was I like that? Because I didn't like something that someone else enjoyed. And it's like, there's no point to me act that way. Yeah. So it's like,
why rob them of something that they like?
So again, to teach their own. I'm just not into that kind of stuff.
Right. You know, it's just crazy that, you know, people are like that now. You know, people are so closed-minded, and they want to just, you know, I used to be, if you didn't like metal, fuck you, you know, I want to kill you, that kind of stuff. But, you know, after a while, I'm just like, okay, you don't like metal? Then, well, you know, whatever. You don't like metal. I mean, a lot of times, like, especially media tries to put people against each other. The Megadeth versus Metallica feud that went on for years and years. And even though, you know, Dave Mustaine still talked to Lars all the time and, you know, stupid shit like that. The media just puts people into, makes them pick. They can't. It's like people who can't listen to Celine Dion and Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, they can if they fucking want to. They'll listen to Cannibal Corpse, Celine Dion. So what? You know, it's just people are just, like I said, media makes people pick sides, and it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it is. And to that point, when you say that, it's like I never liked. Again, we're use country. I still don't like country, but I can listen to it and it doesn't bother me. It just I don't enjoy it because I feel like every song is the same. But to someone else that listens to,
I broke my truck after it fell on.
Yeah, you know, and there is some actual truth to that. But at the same time, it's like people who listen to metal or listen to something else. Some people think people that listen to metal, all they do is scream. In reality, it's like there's a couple parts in the song that there's different genres of metal. So it's like, you listen to it. I appreciate the metal because I like their voice. Because most people that have metal singers have great voices. They also have a great band behind them. So I appreciate the band aspect of it. But then at the same time, it's like I like to listen to some electronic music. There is chill step and dubstep or other things I do enjoy. I relax to, or that isn't made with the band. Instrumentals and stuff like that. I don't mind listening to. So my point is. Again, teach their own, but yeah, I don't really hate anybody for what they do nowadays. I just don't. I don't want anybody ramming things down my throat anymore. That's just that's what it is. You know, it's like
unless it's Keanu Reeves.
Unless it's Keanu Reeves, I will let him ram it down my throat.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I think we've touched really good on the movie reboot and remake genre of 2020, and just over like the last 5 to 10 years of movies. I think there's endless movies we could probably sit here and bash all day and talk about, but for our first podcast, I think this is something we wanted to talk about and discuss. Obviously, we went off the cuff and talked about other things that weren't really...
But you did your homework.
Yeah, I did my homework. There was other things we kind of just discussed, and which is good. You know, it kind of tied into this, but hopefully on the next one, I don't know if we're actually ever going to have a real cut and dry, like, set thing for the podcast, but I think over time, it's just mostly going to be us, you know, free-forming and off the cuff talking about anything we want to discuss. So if you guys enjoyed the podcast, you know, please remember to subscribe to our channel, send us a like, share it out, and come back and see us again.
Hit that little bell, too. Ding!